In this video, we are going to cover the basics of Excel. First thing that we're going to go over are the different parts of the screen that you'll see here. Notice that we have a set of columns. Each column, like we talked about, is indicated by a letter. Each row is indicated by a number. If I click in any cell, for example, column D, row 5, we call the intersection of the two a cell. Now in Excel itself, you need to be careful and pay attention to your mouse. Notice that right now my mouse is set as a white thick crosshair. This is indicating that if I click and drag, it's going to highlight or select those cells. Notice the difference if I put my mouse on the edge. For example, in C4, if I type my name, and I move my mouse to the edge, notice that it moves, looks like a little crosshair with an arrow. This allows me, if I click and drag, to move the contents of a cell. So once again, notice I'm going over here, I'm clicking, and I'm dragging, and it moves the contents of the cell. Next, what I'm going to show you, in A1, if I type the number 1, and I click, and in the bottom right-hand corner, notice it's a thin crosshair. If I click and drag down now, notice it copies. So if I type my name again, and the bottom right-hand corner, notice it's copying the contents. We can also use a copy and fill. So for example, if I type in January, or the abbreviation for January, and I click in that bottom right-hand corner and I click and drag across, notice that it automatically figures out that I'm referring to months. I can do the same thing with the days of the week, and I can come down with, or left and right, and it will automatically fill in that information for me. Along those same lines, if I type in a 1 and a 2, and I highlight both of those cells, bottom right hand corner, notice it counts for me. If I do 0 and 5 and do the same thing, it's going to count by 5s for me. And so what this is if you'll pay attention to your mouse, it will kind of keep you out of trouble with the contents of your spreadsheet. Now notice here that if I click in any cell, it selects it for me. If I want an entire column, notice if I put my mouse over the column A, it will select the entire column from beginning to end, even the ones you do not see on the screen. If I click on a row number, it will select the entire row. If I select right up here in the top left-hand corner, that does the entire worksheet. Now, notice down here at the bottom of the screen, we have multiple sheet tabs. We refer to a file in Excel as a workbook, and there are multiple sheets found inside of a workbook. You can actually have as many as you deem necessary. Right now, by default, we have 3. You can rename those sheet tabs by double-clicking and then just typing in what you want that tab to be. Now, I can also right-click and change the tab color. And if you're a visual person, it kind of helps to give it a color. I can name sheet 2 Sales. I can also give that a sheet color. And you can name those so that they're easy to tell which is going to be which here. Now, in this particular worksheet, I'm going to delete out what's there. So I'm going to select the whole worksheet and hit my delete key. And at this point in time, we're going to key in some basic information. So in cell A1, I'm going to type in Rip City Digital. And I'm going to go down to A3, and I'm going to name this Customer Orders Report. And I'm going to enter in the date, March 27th to April 17th. Now, I'm going to type in date, last name, first, address, phone, DVDs, price per DVD, and shipping charge. Now, I want to show you at this point an easy way to key data in. We typically like to key, and most people do like to keep key data in going in rows and columns. And so if you highlight the area that you want and just start typing, pay attention. And what I'm doing is I'm going to type in my data, and then I'm going to hit my Enter key. And I want you to pay attention to how the data is being keyed in. Hit Enter. Enter again. Notice now when I hit Enter, it jumps up to my highlighted area, and I can key in my data going down without worrying about or having to take my mouse hands off of my keyboard and then move my cursor. And I'm going to continue on with this information. Okay, now that we've got all of our data keyed in, you'll notice that in our cells where we did not have enough room, that it has truncated our information there. What we're going to need to do, just like in Word with our tables where we could double click, I'm going to come up here between my columns, and I'm going to double click. And notice that it automatically widens the columns as wide as necessary. So I'm going to go through and make sure that I've done that to each of my cells that you see.